All right, welcome to the one and the only Proverbs chapter 24. Let's just dive right in. We're going to start with verse 13 and 14. It says, "My son, eat honey, for it is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. Know that wisdom is such to your soul, and if you find it, there will be a future, and your hope will not be cut off." This one's pretty self-explanatory, but I kind of just like the image of honey because honey's tasty. Basically what Proverbs is doing here is just comparing wisdom to eating honey. If you've ever had honey, you know that it's sweet, it's delightful, it's good by itself, whether you just put some on a spoon or whether you just kind of take the bottle and just, right into the mouth. I wouldn't know anybody that does that because that's uncivilized, but I'm sure those people are out there somewhere. And you get a raw, unfiltered honey. It's so good, so good. And in the same way that honey is good and satisfying to you, wisdom is good and satisfying to your soul. Because it's wisdom that is a guiding light in our life. It's wisdom that, again, we tap into this attribute of God, and we build this relationship here. And it says that, hey, know that wisdom is such to your soul, and if you find it, there will be a future, and your hope will not be cut off. So that in striving for wisdom, and in gaining wisdom, and indulging in wisdom, you have a better chance of having a successful future, of living a longer life, of having a more full life than the person that's engaging in folly and the person that's like, wisdom, don't need it. Right? So that's the idea. Let's look at another set of verses, 17 and 18. It says, "Do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord see it and be displeased and turn away his anger from him." This one's tough. Your enemy, they fall. This is generally a time of triumph and celebration. That's what you get. Sweet justice has been served, but it's actually not supposed to be our response at all. Because really that response is not love your neighbor as Jesus commanded. So here, Proverbs is really challenging us that, to not rejoice when an enemy falls and to not let your heart be glad when he stumbles. Really, it should be just the opposite. When our enemy falls, when our enemy stumbles, rather than to celebrate, we extend a hand and we help them back up. And we dust them off and we help them get on about their way. We don't celebrate this, their failure, but we help them get out. We help them overcome that failure. And that's the difference, right? Between the way of wisdom and the way of folly. The way of folly would be like, that's what you get. But the way of wisdom, again, it's a hand extension. It's helping in a time of need, whether it's someone that you love or it's your enemy. Again, we're called to love our enemies. Let's look at another set of verses. We'll look at 24 and 25. 24 says, "Whoever says to the wicked, 'You are in the rights,' will be cursed by peoples, abhorred by nations. But those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them." This is really just talking about as individuals, as people within society. You don't have to tolerate evil. You don't. We don't have to be afraid of evil, but we do need to take a stand whenever we see evil. Whenever we see some wrongdoing, we need to take a stand. We need to stand up for that, for whatever that is. Maybe it's a person that's being wronged. Maybe it's a person that's being bullied. Maybe whatever it is, we have a duty as society, as fellow humans, to stand up for that person. Whether you love that person or not, whether that person is your best friend or whether they're your worst enemy, we have a responsibility to take care of these people. We have a responsibility to make sure that justice is served. We have a responsibility to not let people be bullied. And kind of in the first part when it says, hey, whoever says to the wicked, hey, you're in the right. And you don't actually have to say, oh yeah, you're in the right. By saying nothing, you do say something. If I'm aware of something happening, something wrong that's happening, if I'm aware of it and I don't stop it, then I'm allowing it. In a sense, I'm almost promoting it. So be careful. Be careful about the things that you don't speak up about. And don't be afraid to speak up. for the common good of man and for justice, right? Let's look at one more. I love these. So verse 30 and 31. I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense, and behold, it was overgrown with thorns. The ground was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. Again, Proverbs just completely burning the lazy person. Being like, hey, I walked by their field. Crops, should have been, corn should have been knee high by July, but thorns and weeds. The stone wall that's around the field is broken down. Like it's again, this is just an image of the lazy person. They're not working. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And again, it's just Proverbs' way of encouraging people to work, of encouraging people to get their hands dirty, to not be lazy. Laziness is, again, it's not the way of wisdom, it's the way of folly. So be wise, get to work, read Proverbs 24 if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next video.